Good evening. If I could, I'd like to go ahead and get things started. My name's Matthew Boynton. I'm the president of the Bledsoe Pikeville Chamber of Commerce, and I just want to welcome you to our event, our awards banquet. Really glad you all are here, and I'd like to take just a moment to introduce the Anderson Family Band. They're giving us a little bit of music while we get started here, so that's always very nice. And one other thing I'd like to point out, just while we're mingling, be sure you take a look at our slideshow and thank our sponsors for help making tonight possible. That's very, very thoughtful of them, and we really appreciate it. It helps us to make this nice event possible. And with that, I would like to introduce Mr. Bobby Collier for our invocation.
Would you bow with me, please? Our Father in heaven, we are so grateful and thankful for all the blessings that you give us each and every day. And Father, we pray that we are mindful of your presence in our lives and in this world. And we pray, Father, that we acknowledge you in everything we do. Father, we're thankful and grateful for the opportunity to live in Pikeville, Bledsoe County. And we pray, Father, that as we award some people tonight, that, Father, it's just a drop in the bucket of the good people that live in our community. We pray, Father, that you will always bless them and bless us. We pray, Father, now that you bless our meal. We pray, Father, that we will have a good fellowship together. And Father, we pray that your will be done in all things. But Father, help us to let the glory be to you and not to ourselves in our endeavors as we serve our community. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Good evening. I want to thank the Chamber for inviting Bledsoe FFA chapter here tonight to represent Bledsoe County Schools, and I'm going to introduce four of our officers, and they have a few comments to deliver, and then they'll also be leading the pledge. So with me tonight we have Garrett Johnson, who serves as one of our co-presidents, and Garrett is also the East Tennessee Regional Vice President. Michaela Borkowitz is our other co-president. Ella Boynton serving as vice president, and Ruthie Beavers as our treasurer. So I'm going to turn it over to y'all.
When people think of FFA and agriculture, all they normally think of is, well, farmers. But that's not exactly the case. FFA is a student-run organization to teach high schoolers leadership qualities that are desired for the rest of their lives. FFA can give anyone the leadership opportunities to step up and take the initiative to grow our development and leadership skills and public speaking skills. This organization also plays a huge role in preparing students for college and helping them college. In the last 4 to 5 years, FFA has given around $2.7 million in scholarship money to help pay for college. During my 4 years, I personally have had the opportunity to attend many different events and conventions. The places that FFA can take you are endless. But speaking of places to go, I will hand it off to Michaela to tell the Bledsoe County FFA chapter's most recent event, the 96th National Convention and Expo.
So as Garrett previously mentioned, he and I, as well as 20 members from our chapter and over 70,000 members from chapters across the nation, were able to attend the 96th National Convention and Expo in Indianapolis, Indiana. While there, we did have one competitor, Miss Lily Cagle, who placed first in the nation for her ag education proficiency. For those of you that don't know, that is the most competitive proficiency there is. We also had Mr. Keone Payne receive his American degree. Both of these take countless hours of hard work and dedication and support from not just the chapter, but from you all as well. So thank you. While at convention, we also attended the world's toughest rodeo, multiple inspiring sessions, as well as the 69th annual Tennessee Breakfast. Again, none of this could have been accomplished if it weren't for you all here today, so thank you. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Bledsoe FFA, I would like to express our appreciation to everyone who has supported our chapter this year. The City of Pikeville has supported Bledsoe FFA in numerous ways. Our chapter would like to thank them for their continued generosity and support. Through the use of their facilities, Bledsoe FFA has been able to continue the tradition of the Pikeville Fun Horse Shows. We have always been allowed the use of City Hall and the fairgrounds for our events. Tonight, we would like to formally express our appreciation. All of the events mentioned by Garrett and Michaela would not have been possible without the support of our community. We would like to thank all of the members of the Chamber community who have supported our chapter this year. As I said before, our chapter would not be able to do anything we do without the support of the community and our Chamber of Commerce. Please stand with me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Thank you to the Bledsoe County FFA chapter. It's a very impressive group, and I think we might ought to give their leader, Mr. Collier, and the group With that, I'd like to introduce Ms. Janice Kaiser. She was going to take just a moment to go over the Cruising the Valley initiative that is taking place. It's very impressive, associated with the scenic byway that is the Sequatchie Valley.
And while Matt's pulling up the PowerPoint that you can see part of the book, I want to tell you this is a venture that's 3 years in the making. And again, we work together beautifully up and down the valley, except on Friday nights. So I know what I'm talking about. So with that being said, I have to thank BTC Fiber for being our first corporate sponsor. Then Manderley Farms, Cryolite Ground, First Choice, Erlanger, Stephanie went above and beyond to get a support from Erlanger, Bill and John Harmon family, C.D. Burge Construction, Louis and Becky Carr down at Mercantile, SBEC, and I see Mike Parton here, and the Bledsoe Tribune. Sandy, where are you? I need you to stand up. Everybody knows you. I need you to stand up. John Hargis, I need you to stand up. 3 years we've been working on this. I used every penny I had of tourism money, paid John and Tom to do pictures. This book is stunning. I thank you for doing that. Thrive Sequatchie, and it doesn't, thank you both. It doesn't say Sequatchie County, it says Thrive Sequatchie, because we're now along the National Scenic Byway, so that we created a 501c3 to do things like this. Every penny made on the books will go back into tourism of the valley. I thank you. John will be setting up outside. We're out there with books tonight. And John, when are you doing the signing?
26th at the library.
The 26th in the library in Pikeville.
1 to 4 in the afternoon.
1 to 4 in the afternoon, and then we'll have other signings up and down the valley. Lodge Cast Iron has agreed that they'll sell them in their store. Some of you have people selling them here in Pikeville that you can get them in different places there. I thank you so much for your support, and I'm the only thing between you and dinner, I think.
If I can have your attention
Thank you.
after the next song, you're all welcome to finish up. But we'll give the band a break. Let's give them a round of applause. Let them have dinner. I'd like to take just a moment. One thing Miss Janice Kaiser asked me to mention, there is her business card is on one seat in the room, and that person would win one of the Cruising the Valley books. So if you check the back of your seat, right at the top, there's a business card on one of the seats.
Carl.
Mr. Carl Boynton, and that was not rigged. Carl Boynton.
That was great.
Congratulations. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Cliff Whiteman. Mr. Whiteman is the president of TCAT Crossville, and he'll be talking about the expansion and the campus that is going to be coming to Pikeville, and we're really excited about that. I think that's going to be great for our community. A little bit about Mr. Whiteman. He began his education as a dual enrollment student at TCAT in Crossville, went on to an 18-year experience in industry, and I'll let him talk a little bit more about that. And furthered his education, and through that experience is now the president. I'd like to just read from his bio here, and I think it's very fitting, and I think it's fantastic that we have this gentleman coming to our community to offer the services that they're going to. Mr. Whiteman says, "I firmly feel that my entire life has evolved into where I am today because of the education I received as a student at TCAT. And I can convey to area residents the need for skilled training to change their lives for the better." And I look forward to Mr. Whiteman's presentation. I look forward to him, the services he's going to bring and the education to Bledsoe County. So with that, Mr. Whiteman.
Well, man, thanks a bunch for inviting me, and everybody, thanks for tolerating me. It's a good thing you all put me after dinner, because sometimes I get real comfortable with these microphones. Some of you have heard me speak before. I want to say first that my bio thing, I don't really think that anything that you ever write down says what you really think about what you do. Folks, I've only had 4 jobs. This is number 4. I started back when we were still at the State Area Vocational School at Crossville. Finished as a high school student, finished the machine tool program, and I went to work for 2 job shops and then a tool and die shop, and I went to work for a big welding corporation. For a boy from Western Cumberland County, I got to see a lot, got to do a lot, and I went all over the world several times, and just very, very blessed with that career. Made good money in it too. So, but at the same time, you always want to give something back to your community. And by the way, y'all get up for seconds or whatever. We're homey people at TCAT, so make this just like you're at the house. And by the way, thank you, staff, faculty, cooks, everybody. Y'all did outstanding, y'all. The park's always an excellent venue down here. But with me, of course, I've been doing the continuing education thing when I could, because I like a pretty demanding schedule. But I'm now finishing a doctorate out, which is an interesting thing for me because, and no disrespect, I know Matt, you've got yours, and some of you others do. No disrespect to folks in academia, but for me, it's checking boxes. I firmly believe that the only valued education that I ever got was what I got at the vocational school at Crossville, which is now what's involved in the TCATs. My dissertation committee, which I'm in the dissertation phase now, we sort of butt heads about that a little bit. They really want you to lean toward the academia side. But what I do relates exactly toward Bledsoe, and what we'll talk about here in a second. But first, thank you all for having me here. And chamber folks, congratulations to all you coming in, new members. I'm a member of the Crossville Chamber. I'm on board up there, and also the Overton County Chamber. By the way, I wrote the TCAT in Livingston too, if y'all know where Livingston is. That was something that, my little name tag here says Crossville and Livingston, soon fix to have Bledsoe, so I don't know how we're gonna fit it in there, but we're gonna make it work. But chamber is very important, and I'll say this about Bledsoe, and while I have to say this, Mayor Ridley, this conversation about this campus actually started with Mayor Ridley and Steve Reel. Still, I know you're in here somewhere, Steve, when you're working. There he is over there. So we've always had a long relationship with Bledsoe County, more with the prison. We have about 4 programs at the prison, fixing to expand into 2 more, and going to have a large footprint in the prison, which is you know, and it's a cool thing to be able to work with those folks, and obviously the governor is huge on the recidivism. But we started the thing in Bledsoe County now, this is about our 5th, 6th year now, that kind of took hold. And I owe all that to Steve, and even Jennifer back in those days when we first got everything rolling. We decided that since Bledsoe is, you know, a rural community, we could not physically afford to send an instructor down here just for dual enrollment. So what we done, and you know, I still consider myself a machinist. That's what I done for many years, automated equipment. But so it was decided that one day, I don't know, we just out of the blue, what's the difference between a CTE instructor and a TCAT instructor on the skilled trades side? Pretty much one works at a TCAT, one works at a high school. So what we done, where we had an absolute flow, and everything was true stackable credentials, and there would be no barriers to transferring into the full-time programs, was we started credentialing the Bledsoe instructors. We brought them to the school, running through different programs, just kind of made sure that, you know, and most of them they were, so no big deal. So they all have TCAT diplomas, which makes them technically an employee of us. And we came up with a pretty interesting model, I'll have to say, Steve, where we stipend Bledsoe County back. So Bledsoe County is not out any money, and that had not been the case with a lot of TCATs across the system. But boy, it is now. That caught on like a wildfire, because a lot of counties, especially the rural counties, that's a huge expense. Because, you know, we have to, even if we met them halfway, you know, even any instructor salary and benefits package is, you know, $140,000 at the minimum. So what we done down here laid the groundwork for TCATs all the way across the state. So in conversation, you know, we started trying to put that together. And I need to say something, I don't get to do this much. I brought Jenna DeMars with me. Jenna is our student services coordinator. She's also a Bledsoe County resident, lives up in the head of the valley, prettiest spot in the world up here in this valley, it always is. Jenna is the one that kind of keeps me in line. I've sort of been known to be a wild card sometimes. Jenna was also in that conversation, and because at any one day, you can look at the roster of TCAT Crossfield, and you'll see 1/3 of the students on the campus are Bledsoe, Sequatchie. You'll even see some Marion, occasionally some Grundy. They just depend on where they live. So this is a very unique spot. Well, the campuses are always overcrowded, obviously. So, you know, that becomes that talk. And I said, me and Mayor Cable well, Winky and who else was all in that? Greg, Winky, Steve, there were several of us was in there. But Greg took it and run with it. He said, we're gonna make this happen. On my side of it, it had to be where I had to prove that we could make this viable down here. And I'll show you in a minute what it turned into, but I want to thank you, Greg. You did outstanding, brother. Greg got into the nitty gritty of what it takes to get a building done within the TDR system, which is our system. It's not the easiest thing in the world. He handled a lot of that, so thank you very much. And I want to say too that Winky, y'all in the city, folks like, when companies like Vernon relocate to an area like this, and I'm used to seeing this. I've seen this in other counties, and I hear the nightmare scenarios from other TCAT presidents. You can't have a city and a county that don't work together. And I'll tell you, one of the key components of getting this campus here was that. That was one of the first things that the chancellor was asked. She asked me, she said, well, how are you going to do that down there? You know, that little rural county. And I said, well, you know, they work together. It's all a common goal. I think that's what's cool about being in a room like this. Not everybody in here, we all share a common goal, and it's generally for somebody else. But, you know, both of y'all, I appreciate y'all very much. The folks in the CTE department, and all of y'all that are getting awards tonight in the school system, Bledsoe County is an outstanding county to work with, folks, on every end. We have never seen any issues or any kickback. They do a great job, and you know, you all owe it a lot yourself. We always have said TCAT Crossfield, and I mean this, and I've said this many times in other counties, and it does sort of lift the brow every now and then, some furrow up, but you know, we don't have issues out in Bledsoe County students. We don't. We get the students come to campus as full-time students. Y'all have done well down here. You are raising good kids, and they're always, and so TCATs have to attract students after graduation. So when we get the feedback from the employers, it's always positive. Bledsoe County had been for years and years. Like I said, that was just more of the things that laid the groundwork for this concept down here. So, when you get a chamber and you get the county and city government, you get the school system, you get everybody on the roll to do one thing. Folks, that's when you're heading in the right direction. And you start adding utilities, and Matt and I, we've talked forever about him and the phone company because of, we're going to do a lineman program down here. And, I just met Mr. Parton here a minute ago. You and I are going to be real good friends, sir. Lineman is a very, very, very lucrative trade, folks. It's an extremely lucrative trade, and it's one that's just like every other skilled trade. We're losing all the old timers. And it's hard to find folks that come in and fill in those voids. Now, obviously, I'm a continuing ed proponent, but I live, breathe TCAT. I love skilled trades. I miss it. I go to the shop every day, either at the Livingston TCAT or across the TCAT. I circle around just to go around and see somebody doing something. When you put this with this, that's unstoppable for a student. And we're glad that we teach it in such a way that it does enable a person to leave. Now, that's a tough thing to say, especially around elected officials and parents, is that they've got a tradesman take them anywhere to work. And we pride that, but I can't think of a pretty place in the world to stay than right here in the valley. I've always loved coming down here in the valley. But, but that's what we're there for, is to get that student enabled to be able to have that skill set and move forward. And a lot of times they'll go out and, south of us in Birmingham, that's a huge, huge industry boom down there going on. And that's not far down the road, and they can still come back and visit during the holidays and things. So we do tend to push that. So if you guys ever hear us where we're trying to get students to leave and maybe go out of state, in most cases out of the country, we do push that. It's all about the student 100%. Folks like Jenna, she does an amazing job in that, as well as keeping them in line, is making sure, obviously the instructors are top notch. And I have to say Bledsoe's instructors and their CTE programs, I'd hire any one of them to teach at Crossville any day they want to come. Steve, you're doing a great job with them. But like I said, I could just go on and on about this. Folks, I'll give you a little bit of that. Like I said, when me and Greg had first started running that around with Steve, and I'm trying to remember who else was in on the conversation with Greg and I mainly, was what would it take to get a campus in Bledsoe County? Obviously, I knew how to run it from my end. Greg did a great job of making sure, as well as Winky, of running it on their end. And I will tell you all one thing. This campus is what started. You all know that we hit a pretty good lick with Governor Lee. Governor Lee gave the TCATs. We've had a pretty good run with the last three governors, starting with Bredesen, and Haslam was a real big friend of the TCATs. Community college and university, they've always done well. But now when Governor Lee came in, that was a game changer for us. That was a skilled trades person to come in, and he knew what's out there in skilled trades. And we had several conversations with him. Greg and I did, and I know Winky did too. But Senator Gardenhauer, Representative Travis, we floated that idea to them, and that's been, 4 years ago now? They were just absolutely, they was like, well, how can you make it on your end? And I've been around this stuff long enough that I kind of know the shucking and jiving. I'll just put it, how it is. But what was unique about it was, you all know Senator Bailey, he stepped right back in. And he said, we're going to make that work. And then the most unique thing was Speaker Sexton. Speaker Sexton said, I owe a lot to Bledsoe County. So when you had that powerhouse group behind you, and you had these folks on the local level, I knew this was going to go through. Now, obviously, it takes a while, and I can't say much about the system I work for, but, they wouldn't last in industry long, I'll say that. They move a little too slow, but what we've ended up with is that campus is going to be, obviously, it's going to start out small, but Greg and the county gave us it's the primo piece of property in Pikeville, I'll have to say. Y'all kind of see what it is. The stakes are up and visible now. There, you'll see kind of across from the subway, sort of. I think the groundbreaking is going to be in April. But I'll show you real quick what the concept is. When we decided on, and obviously it's on my shoulders of whether or not this thing's is gonna go. So what I did on the premise was it's overflow campus for Crossville. But now that doesn't discredit this in any way, shape, or form. So what I had to do was, well, what's the programs that we know is gonna be absolutely viable? Well, I've been around this stuff long enough. I knew what I needed to say, but that might not be what ends up down here. But just to give you a little heads up, man, I hope I can find this. And I should have put this in a PowerPoint, I'm sorry. Obviously, that's the site. Y'all know where it is. There's the 127. Of course, back here's the new Avenue, which this building, oh, now I can make that bigger. That building actually gained us a partnership with Avenue, which has been outstanding. They are now our full-blown industrial partner. So you can see the building is kind of offset to its side there. That was done intentionally. That was done so we have all this real estate for later expansion. And, I will say this, that HK Architects, they worked very well with us on this of what I wanted and what we had money to do. Now, there again, I have to tell you all, you can't be taking pictures of these drawings. These are all concept. I've already told the media, I'm serious about that. The TBR and the State Building Commission is extremely funny about these because that building is inked and everything is moving forward. But at the end of the day, because I wanted windows, you'll see in a minute. And we're going to get a lot of windows in it. And it's going to be a very modern looking building. But things may sort of change. So no pictures, please, none of that stuff. You'll see it soon enough. This is basic floor plan of it. So you can kind of see what we're going to do. And, I've been fortunate in my career as a president. I've had several building projects. So one thing that I did notice right off the bat was in rural areas, and it's no different even in Crossville, one thing that's always needed is a meeting space. Y'all got the park down here, but it's still a park. So I thought, well, what we would do into this thing, this building out in front, that's a multi-purpose room. That's going to be facing the bypass. All this will be. And of course, computer lab that to be shared with the students. And then, so like I said, when you got to sell these things, of course it has a rear entrance and a lounge, reception, restrooms, all the usual. But when you sell these things, you sell what's the biggest. And nursing is always the biggest. Nursing has been and it always will be. If you can sustain nursing, you can put it to work. And I know that you all are, you're very fortunate that you have one of the last, I think, municipality-owned nursing homes in the state. I think you might be the only one now. I'm not sure that, but Greg's already been working with us on that, about using that as a partnership for clinicals and things. So what you'll see is, those two nursing labs, obviously that's one big room with a modular curtain. Those can actually be used out, because nursing, sometimes those rooms sit empty when your students are on clinicals. So what we're gonna do is just rotate other classes in and out of it. That's how you do this. You sell what the PBR goes, oh yeah, that's the money's worth. But then you just sneak the other stuff in. Obviously, I shouldn't talk that way, but I'm pretty plain loaded. Industrial maintenance will be down here. We know that for sure. Now, industrial maintenance, that's a 2,000 square foot open space area, which is actually a little bit bigger than most industrial maintenance shops need to be. So there again, that same space, we could probably put electrical and plumbing in. We have electrical and plumbing across the campus. But here's the deal. If you got one down here, why let somebody drive 30 miles up the road if it's right here? That's the kind of way I look at stuff. Welding, obviously you got Bernie down here, they're a big partner with us. Welding gets that entire space, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, that's probably going to always stay welding for sure. Welding, we have, the Livingston campus has 2 full-time welding programs, one day, one night. The Crossville campus has 2 full-time day and 1 full-time night campus. And if we could add 5 more, we could fill them everyone up. The welders, that's been since way back. Of course, I come out of the machining world, and you may hear a former welder. If you are, I'm fixing to offend you right quick. So we always make fun of the welders. We'd say, well, on the good weld's one that's been machined, but welding has always been a very, very lucrative career, and it stands, it hasn't slowed down. I can't see it slowing down the last 35 years. Kind of interesting thing, and, you know, we have lots of success stories of students that go over. Welding is probably one of the best, I would think, wouldn't you, Jenna? We have students that have went to the United Arab Emirates and worked, Kuwait, Australia. We've got a female student that's alumni. Sorry, I'm trying to get over this chest cold. Greg was across the other day when I barely could speak, but I made a point to power through it because I do like to talk a little bit. So, we have a female alumni that in Pikeville that works in the North Sea, building icebreakers and things. Of course, in the summer, and in the winter she goes Australia, South America, wherever she wants to go, and came out of one of the poorest spots. Actually, going in Bledsoe County, a Midway area up here. Came out of one of the poorest spots in Cumberland County. That girl changed the entire family. We love that stuff because I knew her. I knew all the people. I knew her I knew her daddy. I went to school with her. And you know, it's so funny that after she went through the program, and boy, and we hooked her up. And we do that. And that's what Jenna is a master at. Jenna is awesome. Thank you so much. We're like oil and water 90% of the time, but she does very well. You know, we love to see a student that's come out of a situation like that, a rural poverty situation. She gets out, goes to work. We hook her up with the shipyard first. Our welding instructor did. Our instructors are always the ones that really, you know, they'll help them get the good jobs. The good students. Obviously, the ones that's not so good, we can't really send them to the cream of the crop. I'm speaking very bluntly here because here's the deal that works in industry. I've been around this a long time. You can send 1,000 good ones, and you'll be lucky if you hear anything positive from industry. You send one bad one, shockwave out there like, oh, don't be hiring anybody out of Crossville. I mean, that's how it works. What we know is proof positive that the students are doing well is they keep hiring. So that's cool, we're good with that. But what happened with that young lady was, next person enrolls in class was her dad, and then her mom, and then a whole, you know, you got this whole community here that's come back to continue education. And that's what makes that cool. And that's what we see out of Bledsoe. We've got the same stories right out of Bledsoe students that have done extremely well. So that's kind of what it'll be there. That outdoor storage area, that's probably where we're going to park our linemen. And I'll get into that in just a second. And maybe do some other stuff. Now the linemen will be at the back of the property, and the deal with linemen, we have linemen at Livingston campus. They don't stay in a classroom. They're out on what we call the pole farm, and I don't know, Mr. Martin, if that's the correct terminology or not, but that's basically what it looks like. It's just a lot of poles, and it's kind of neat to watch them learn to string all the high wire and throw footballs and learn how to be able to negotiate that stuff. So move on to the next view. I can't remember. So that's kind of just elevation views, east elevation, south, you know, that's kind of boring. Obviously, there's no color to it, but we have a good color picked out. And there again, I think you all will be tickled when you see it. This view is that's the view. If you're coming right around the corner, about where that, seems like there's a big ice maker or something right there in the corner, where you can kind of start seeing where Average is. There's a big ice machine. That's kind of what you'll start seeing right there when you start coming in. This will be the view from the actual bypass. Oh, it even says the view from bypass. So maybe I need to make that a frazzle. I should have put this in PowerPoint. I apologize for that. So basically what you're looking at is the front of the facade of the building. So it's still coming in more of an angle, not directly in front. This area here, that's that meeting space, which also, like I said, to be a very modular. The one in Crossville, we have meetings in it all the time, and then turn it around and turn it into instruction. So those are a very good, easy sale. Obviously the front with the great big windows. Now I'm shooting for bigger than that. So that's why these are concept. I want that all windows, because that's a good way the campus space is there. It would be perfect for that. Overall layout of the campus is kind of like this, as you can see. It's going to be a pretty impressive. That's actually the rear of the building. So you can see the shop doors, little small entrance area, and that little storage space. And the one thing, you know, that I'm still working on changing, this area here, I do not like roof-mounted AC units. I just think I don't know, I just got a thing against them. So we're going to probably put a mechanical chiller board maybe in this little area But that will be the main entrance for, maybe all the students and stuff will be coming in there. And meeting space too, and of course all the shop entrances. And it's gonna, you know, the real estate limited to expansion. And that was planned. That was planned 100% with me and the architects. We put it all over to one corner because, I mean, here's the thing. Eventually, things are going to boom down here. It's inevitable. You can't find a spot in Tennessee that's even in distressed counties or at risk. One of these days, and this is what's so bad about living where you all live. I live up on the plateau. Fortunately, I do live where I have a view. I look off, anybody knows where Cookeville is. I live on a bluff where I'm actually kind of seeing down into that valley. You can see Cookeville at night all lit up. So I do have a mountain view, but I don't have this. I don't have what you got when you come off 127. You know, it's a funny thing that we were talking about, Winky and I, and Mayor Ridley was talking about how, you know, when people say, oh Lord, you know, we've been this part of Tennessee and we love it, love it, love it. And you want real bad to say, well, you need to go down 127 and drive off into Squatchy Valley and see that. But then again, the part of me that is not the industrialist, which I probably am true at heart, says, mum's the word. Because, you know, I mean, Abington has kind of changed the scenery down here, but they did a very good job in the way they changed it. And that's going to come. I'm telling you, a company like them and a company like Verney, folks, that'll draw it. That's a great thing for the county. That's a great thing for the surrounding areas. Anybody lives on the mountain around Dunlap for sure. But it does sort of change the way a county looks. But hey, it's progress. You know, if it keeps your kids here, that's, you know, the name of the game. So that's it. And then I think we got one more view here. That would be, I don't know why they didn't give me, this just came from the architects today. So that's that very, sort of that back kind of a view thing of it. I don't know if I've got any more, but pretty much right there is what everybody will be seeing when they come. Now color-wise, you know, we got a pretty good concept. It'll be a very modern color, and I don't know, maybe. What do y'all think? I'll just take it to you all. This will be good feedback for the engineers. It's a very, very modern looking building. I don't think there's anything like that in Bledsoe. Crossville sure doesn't have anything like that. Other than
blue and gold is pretty popular.
you like. Now I will say this: I really doubt blue and gold will get. You know, there will be some room to put things like that on that building. Those big blank spaces like that, those are left intentional for a reason. So you can put different placards, banners, things like that. I know it's going to have one of the TCAT sectors, if y'all have ever seen that, our branding that we use. But it will be a very good space to meet in, as well as a good full-blown structure. Our anticipated enrollment in that, and I'm being very realistic when I say this, I hit it at about 275. It's about what we're thinking, and I think we can do that. That gentleman's looking at me like, you better shut up. But anyway, you know, that's what I told the state. So we'll make it happen. Steve, if we got overflow some CTE folks in it, there's plenty of room for that. And that's, you know, that's kind of say great. But it is a long-term plan. Now, obviously, that meeting room would be used by mayors if y'all wanted to have that space for any kind of thing. Anybody, chamber, anybody like that, you know, y'all utilities, anybody like that. Now, it's not set up for weddings and things like that. It's got to be generally municipalities. And as we do with the one in Crossville, that thing stays booked. I tell you, I mean, it's like every night of the week is something going on with that thing, and even on the weekends. And we have everything from the legislative, and it's a pretty good size, but it's a little bit bigger than this one. But this one will probably see, I told them to make it sure for 200 people with no tables. So it'll seat about 125 with tables. It'll obviously have big media screens and all that. That is one thing the TBR does do well, this kind of stuff, which I'm just not familiar with at all, really. But I'm still just an old machinist. But so they, that thing, FFA, I was the FFA and I was national officer there at one time. So we have a big thing to use it, this thing like that. So keep that in mind when the thing opens up. Crossville, we've had some pretty interesting groups that use it. We had the Second Amendment group has been using it pretty regular, and the Sovereign Citizens. Now that was an interesting group of people. I had to tell them first thing they couldn't have their weapons on campus. Seriously, they came out with the M16s. I mean, no kidding, assault rifles come in with all their old Revolutionary War hats. It's cool, and they're good people, but, you know, you throw your own sovereign citizens, you know, rock and roll, do your thing, but no guns on the campuses, just remember that. So it's going to be a very nice building. I'm going to probably tell you that the colors on this building will probably, if y'all ever have seen the one in Crossfield, the new building across the street, where it's that brick veneer up so high, and then you've got this one will not be metal panel. This one I'm pretty sure will be brick as we stand right now. So it's going to be for many years of construction. So it'll be that lighter, darker brown. They may do that silver, black looking, that looks good on some of the newer TCATs too. But I'll make sure, and like I said, these are not supposed to be viewed by the public. But I have told Winky and Mayor Cable that Greg, I want to sneak them in and get their advice on this thing every now and then, because I mean, that's what we're gonna do. I don't want a building down here that you all don't like. That's the last thing that we want, is a building that you all don't like, but, and it's not gonna have eye appeal. Now, I'm gonna say this, that meeting space was done intentionally also for another thing. Abington will be using that meeting space, so Abington is probably gonna have a lot, I figure they're gonna have a lot larger presence down here. Y'all probably know that company anyway. A lot of stuff's confidential, especially Chambers, Matt, you may have talked to them, but so that'll be intentionally used for them for some training, things like that. So it's a very multi-use building. I know it looks, I don't know if you think it looks plain or whatever, but there again, you got a whole big piece of land over here that is, that's gonna be opened up. Mr. Pardon, and man, I'll show you the pole farm, and this is just, obviously just a, pole farm will be right back here, and I don't know why they didn't put that in, because we made sure that it's going to be there. That'll all be pretty much, of course, this is the area that they're going to have to excavate and do all the drainage and all this. Pole farm will be back in here. That pretty much that area, because that takes a lot of land to teach that stuff. I know that takes up about a good acre and a half anyway. I know one at Livingston is right at 2 acres. So it'll kind of be back in this area, but I don't know. I seen a bunch of nods that y'all like it. You know, like I said, I wasn't supposed to show this, but if anybody's got any negative stuff, just holler. Tell me, I can take it back to architects and see what they do with it. But there again, I want to thank for sure, you know, we have to say it to the legislators, folks, because without them and for sure the governor, that thing wouldn't have went a bit. And for sure, Greg, brother, Greg kind of became his own secretary there for a while, a lot of the things that go into building a project like that. But, you know, obviously Bledsoe County working together as a unit, y'all are doing a great job down there, and I'm going to make sure that that campus will be a success. I guess if I was going to close on anything with this about the building, I'm going to say, realistically, the governor gave this order. When he laid out the $1 billion, the Bledsoe building was the first one of all the rural TCATs. We started on Governor Lee. Like I said, that's been a while back, several years back. I had a lot of phone calls, a lot explained to me. He said, well, you know, what's the benefit of that, of a rural TCAT like that? And he got it. He got it, and then we were so tickled. And then I got a little heads up a little bit later on that they said the governor will be making an announcement as a state to state, which is what's now your Portland, that you're going to be real happy with. And that was the $1 billion. Guess what? The very, very, very first one that went to the State Building Commission got appropriated and approved, Bledsoe. That was the very first one. And I like to think, we've talked about this, I like to think that us aggravating him about this campus coming into Bledsoe maybe put that in of, you know, there is a need for these. These campuses, Crossville campus was built in 1965 and had very, very little improvements. You know, we've got a few expansions, but not much. TCATs need a good facelift. In the rural areas, you know, TCATs were built roughly 50 miles apart way back. But we've decided now that, you know, breaking the barrier, you've got to break the barrier. If somebody's not going to drive 50 miles, surely they'll drive 25. So that's kind of the premise behind it. And like I said, I really think that this one laid the groundwork for that. Probably don't print that anywhere, you know, that might be boastful of me to say that. But anyway, I can answer any questions. I know Matt's raring to go here for the real deal here. By the way, we joined the Bledsoe Chamber tonight, so I thought we need to be a part of y'all, so we're in with that. Anybody? All right, good deal. With that, TCATS folks, we're a homely bunch. You got any questions for me, you just call the school, Janice, or call, either one of the mayors has my cell number. Y'all are more than welcome to have it. And thank y'all for letting me speak. Thank you. Thank you.
So I'd just like to thank Mr. Whiteman, mayors, and thank you for all you're doing to try to make this a success. I think it'll be something that our county, and not only that, but our area will benefit from for years to come. With that, we sent you a little local gift bag. Got some soap from Three Hills Farms, some local honey, I think a flashlight from Sales Building Supply. So thank you. And with that, we'll start with our awards. And I'd like to ask each principal from each of our schools is here tonight to present their Teacher of the Year awards. We'd like to start with Miss Leanne Morris.
Good evening. As Matt said, my name is Leanne Morris. I'm principal of Pikeville Elementary. This year, our Teacher of the Year recipient is Miss Reagan Deacons. This is her 7th year teaching. She's taught grades 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Miss Deacons is always going above and beyond. She's one of those teachers that if you get a text pretty late at night, it may be from her, just saying. But it's all that good. She's always looking for ways to help her students. If she's not looking for a new teaching strategy, she's always out there sporting events. She's building relationships. You can just walk by her, she's always got a smile on her face. I mean, she's just a glow to our building. She's always offering word of encouragement. It's my honor to present her tonight with Teacher of the Year.
Next, we've got Mr. Michael McAnally from Mary Lee Wheeler.
Okay, I brought a little bit of a speech. I've got, we need to find out who our Teacher of the Year is. You know, I will need to say a lot about this lady. So before I introduce her, I just wanted to give you the criteria that I set forth with the faculty and the staff at Wheeler and how they chose the Teacher of the Year this year. So this is what I said. I said the teacher that you select should be exemplary in the ways she motivates students, prepares for class, communicates, helps students both in and out of class, challenges students, and demonstrates respect for both students and coworkers. So this year's recipient is Miss Karen Angel. I know a lot of you know her. So let me tell you a little bit about Miss Karen first. Miss Karen has 42 years teaching experience. That's right, 42 years. And every single one of those years has been at Wheeler. She has taught various grade levels and currently serves as a reading interventionist. So here's my personal piece. But at Wheeler, if you've ever been to Wheeler in the front hallway, we have a mural there and it says, "Preserving the past, shaping the future." Miss Karen embodies that motto, and she always is describing herself as old school. So if you've ever talked to her, she always says, "I'm old school, Michael." She tells me that just about every day, which I appreciate. But she reminds us that educational traditions and values stay at the forefront of everything we do in education today. And the words I think describe her, I think perseverance, respect for others, commitment, and empathy, they go hand in hand with providing children a well-rounded education. And I think of Miss Karen, and I know that she chose education not as just a profession, but she chose to follow her heart. Teachers really have to have a heart for the job that they do. She has the heart of a teacher. I'm just proud to say that I know Miss Karen. I'm proud to say that she's not only a co-worker, but a very good friend. So congratulations to her.
Diane Hanna from Cecil B. Rigsby.
Our recipient this year, excuse me, has taught 20 years in the same building. She's taught every grade level but one. She's also been recognized as a level 4 teacher for her academic successes last year, but she's a level 5 within our building. If you're not in education, those are big deals, and we're very proud of her. She has, at the end of last year, she said, Miss Diane, I want to be a part of your ILT. That's in instructional leadership team. And I said, of course, Miss Brittany, we'll make sure that you're part of that. She has been instrumental in helping us with moving forward this school year. And I don't know if she realizes how much I do truly appreciate everything she's done. She's my kindergarten teacher. She's Miss Brittany Gravitt, and her daughter is with us, Miss Paisley. And we want to congratulate Miss Brittany on a job well done and well-deserved Teacher of the Year at Rigsby Elementary.
Bledsoe County Middle School, Miss Candy Kimpton.
Hello. Choosing the Teacher of the Year is such a fun and exciting time for us. It's a time when we get to recognize teachers for all the wonderful things that they do. Last year, when I moved to the middle school, I met with the teachers and we set goals on improving test scores. Miss Chrissy Brown worked hard to not only meet the goals for the 6th grade math team, but she quadrupled
everything we do in education today. And the words I think describe her, I think perseverance, respect for others, commitment, and empathy. They go hand in hand with providing children a well-rounded education. And I think of Miss Karen. And I know that she chose education not as just a profession, but she chose to follow her heart. Teachers really have to have a heart for the job that they do. She has the heart of a teacher. I'm just proud to say that I know Miss Karen. I'm proud to say that she's not only a co-worker, but a very good friend. So congratulations to her.
Next, Miss Diane Hanna from Cecil B. Rigsby.
Our recipient this year, excuse me, has taught 20 years in the same building. She's taught every grade level but one. She's also been recognized as a level 4 teacher for her academic successes last year, but she's a level 5 within our building. If you're not in education, those are big deals, and we're very proud of her. She has, at the end of last year, she said, Miss Diane, I want to be a part of your ILT. That's in instructional leadership team. And I said, of course, Miss Brittany, we'll make sure that you're part of that. She has been instrumental in helping us with moving forward this school year. And I don't know if she realizes how much I do truly appreciate everything she's done. She's my kindergarten teacher. She's Miss Brittany Gravitt, and her daughter is with us, Miss Paisley. And we want to congratulate Miss Brittany on a job well done and well-deserved Teacher of the Year at Rigsby Elementary.
Bledsoe County Middle School, Miss Candy Kimpton.
Hello. Choosing the Teacher of the Year is such a fun and exciting time for us. It's a time when we get to recognize teachers for all the wonderful things that they do. Last year, when I moved to the middle school, I met with the teachers and we set goals on improving test scores. Miss Chrissy Brown worked hard to not only meet the goals for the 6th grade math team, but she quadrupled them, making her a level 5 teacher in our building. However, Ms. Brown goes above and beyond just raising test scores. Many of you don't know she had surgery last fall. After one of her appointments, she texted me and said that the doctor had told her that she wasn't going to be able to come back to work because she couldn't be on her feet. She didn't know how she could come back and do anything and asked me if there was anything she could do. I jokingly replied to her, "I can move the recliner from the library and you can prop your foot up during the day." She said, "Great, I'll be there on Monday." For the next 6 weeks, she used a mobile board and taught from the recliner, just most recently this week, going back to teaching on her feet. This example of that kind of dedication goes above and beyond expectation, and for this reason and many others, I proudly present Bledsoe County Middle School Teacher of the Year, Ms. Chrissy Brown.
Bledsoe County High School, Mr. Ridley.
Good evening. It is an honor to be able to present this award tonight to our Educator of the Year for the high school. This is a teacher that also goes above and beyond for our school and our community. Just a little bit about her. She's in her 19th year of teaching, and she has a wealth of experience at all levels of school. She's been at Mary V. Wheeler Elementary, she's been at the middle school here at Bledsoe, and she is also now currently at the high school as our media specialist. But she not only serves as in a official capacity as the media specialist, she also was chosen to implement a new program in our high school called Teaching as a Profession. And we couldn't have chosen a better candidate to lead that program because she has made a huge difference in the lives of our students. So that program is designed for any student who is interested in becoming an educator. And so we call it a pathway. It's kind of like a major, like if we were going to college. And so if they choose that pathway, then they get like an intro to teaching course, and then it keeps developing over the 4 years. Well, I've personally talked to these students who maybe were on the fence about what they want to do in the future, and now they're sold on becoming a teacher. And I think that speaks volumes because not only are they going to be awesome educators, maybe anywhere in our nation, but hopefully they come back locally and teach here in Bledsoe County. So, but also I'd like to talk a little bit about how some of the things she serves on. She's our yearbook sponsor, which is a ton of work. She is our Beta Club sponsor, and she's also the Future Teachers of America sponsor. In addition to that, she serves on virtually every committee that we offer. If you're ever at the school after hours, then you will probably run into her because she will be there revamping a space in our high school. So she could probably have another career as like an interior designer if she wanted to. As needs change and things expand at the high school, we have to repurpose our rooms, and she's always the first one to volunteer to be there and to change that and make it look wonderful. She's always improving the environment in our high school. She makes it as welcoming as a place could be. One of the things we try to drill into our students' heads is a mantra, and it's be the one. And we say things to the students like be the one to step up and be a leader and lead by example. And she does this. So I'm very proud to give her this award. This award goes to Miss Anthony Cagle.
Last but not least, from the Bledsoe County Career and Technical Center, Mr. Steve Ridley.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Collier and their FFA officers for doing an outstanding job. Get to be with these young people every day. That's the best part of our job. Here tonight, I'm going to let you guys know who our CTE Teacher of the Year is. As most CTE teachers, we didn't start out to become teachers. We actually have worked in industry. We've been in the field and we've learned skills, as Mr. Whiteman said, we've learned trades and different skills to work in what I sometimes call the real world. But that's the way things work. This gentleman, he actually has been in our school system now for the last 19 years. He was our SRO officer for 19 years. He has been our basketball coach for 16 years. And just recently, he started teaching 2 years ago in our CTE building in our carpentry program. He does an outstanding job. I know his family. His dad had a great influence on him, and he's done great things for our program. If you get the chance when you drive on campus, you'll see a building that's being built right now. And that's Mr. Carlos Davis's class. And I asked the students the other day, I said, Mr. Davis has been selected as our outstanding CTE teacher. I said, what do you think that contributes to that? And they said, well, he cares for us. And he wants us to get the skills that we need to see us succeed. And I think that's the key to all teachers. We care about our students and we want to see them succeed. So Mr. Carlos Davis, he is our CTE Teacher of the Year.
I have the opportunity to present some awards to the other awards for the chamber. But before I do, I want to say thank you to teachers. I'm an old ag teacher, and very, very good to see blue jackets around here. I love it, always will. I believe in the future of agriculture, and they know exactly what I'm talking about on that. And teachers, I appreciate you because the best education doesn't come from a book. It comes from your heart, from the extra things you do, from extracurricular activities to just sitting and having that talk with a young person. So thank you for what you do. The first one that I am going to present is going to be the Chamber Volunteer Award. And as you know, when you volunteer to do something, there is no pay in that. And sometimes there's not very many thank yous. And we'd like to recognize someone today, Mr. Johnny Harrison. And y'all correct me if I get things wrong or confused on this, but in the fall festival that we have, he has been a volunteer that has helped us to organize, to plan, to set up, to just do manual work along with other organizational things that we had needed. So our award goes to Mr. Johnny Harrison. The next award that we want to present is the Small Business of the Year. And recently, we have opened up the Eye Centers of Tennessee. So if you'll be making your way up here, a lot of times what we have to do is travel distance for different types of medical things that happen. So how nice is it to have an eye care center in Pikeville that we can go to? And what's even better about it is we've got a person that came back home to help us. So thank you all for what you do, and we appreciate you being the Small Business of the Year.
We're just thankful to be able to serve a community that we love and we're so passionate about. And of course, We're always blessed to be part of a chamber too that supports our community and our small businesses, and we're thankful for residents who are willing to come and support our business as well. Thank you.
Our next award goes to the large business of the year. And everybody is familiar with this, and if you're not familiar with them, you'll be reminded, of course, especially in stormy weather. Our large business of the year is Pikeville Valley Electric Cooperative. And sometimes we take what they do for granted. But let me tell you what I personally like about the electric co-op. Is when there's a storm, when it's cold, and they're out in the wind, and their feet get cold, a lot of times they'll come stop by the store and get some chapstick and a pair of wool socks. And that always works out good for me. But our large business of the year, Pikeville Valley Electric Cooperative. If you'll come forward.
Thank you, Bobby, and thank you to the Chamber. This award goes to this team here in Bledsoe County. It's easy for me to get up and talk and write articles and work on projects, but these folks right here are the ones that do the work. And I'll tell you what, they've had a heck of a tough week, 2 weather events. Many of you have been in the dark here for a day or 2, but they haven't stopped. Matter of fact, we've got a crew out right now. So we can get them dried out and a little rest. We got a project we got to do tomorrow here in Pikeville, right outside the substation. Big weather event coming this week. But one of the things that we talk about, one of the sayings that we have in the trade, and we're such a huge supporter of the trades, is that when others evacuate, we congregate. And we don't back up from it because we serve you all. That's the beauty of a cooperative like us and Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative and the Farmers Cooperative. We're owned by the members, and we serve you, nobody else, not stockholders, not anybody else. And so, thank you so much for this award. Thank you to this team for the job that they do.
And dare to say, they're out when none of the rest of us want to be out. And a lot of times it's on the side of a very steep mountain, or in a very wet place, a place that we don't like to congregate, but they're there. Thank you so much for the electric cooperative. The next person that we have is the Community Spirit Award, and it is named for Fran Roberts. And if some of the family would like to come up, you can present this award. The Community Spirit Award, and this is being taped, so this gentleman can hear it. He's not with us tonight for reasons, health reasons. He cannot be here. But we're going to talk about him a little bit. If you ever go through Pikeville during the winter time and you have light up Pikeville, and it is a sight to see. It is beautiful. This gentleman has helped with that, Mr. Jeff Henry. And how appropriate is it for him to be a part of Light Up Pikeville, because he is a light himself. He is a light through his work at church. He is a light through his work in the community. He is like they own Redbird Manor, he and his wife. And also they've opened up a new store. So if you talk about somebody very tactful on that. And thank you, Cassie. We appreciate what she does, keeping a website, keeping contacts for us, and several things like that. Keeping us organized as much as anything. The next person that we're going to look at, the next person, or the next award that we're going to do is the Excellence Award. And this is for a person who exemplifies excellence in our community in many forms and fashion and in many ways. And I'm going to call on somebody to come up who knows him. I know him, and I can tell some tales. We got somebody that knows more about this gentleman than I do. So Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Collier. I'm old school too, so I wrote something down so I won't forget it. So the Excellence Award is given to an individual who exemplifies the highest excellence in leadership, giving, community care, and community action. Our awardee today is been a leader in Bledsoe County, whether it was on the 50-yard line, the basketball court, the baseball diamond, or running his business and trying to pull every single individual he can in Bledsoe County because of his love for this community. He has the biggest giving heart, and he always tells me, and he'll tell everybody, he gets the most joy from helping other people and giving back to the community that gave to him. From a perspective of a family member, I feel like our family was built in love for our community. Bill Joe Brown tells everyone all the time about my grandmother and how much she loved this community and how much she wanted to serve. And he does so many things in her memory. He's a supporter of Bledsoe County sports, business, trying to bring everything in that he can. He's a supporter of everybody in the community. I can't think of anybody else in the community that's better to receive this award than the one person I know bleeds Bledsoe County blue, the ultimate warrior, Bill Joe Brown.
First of all, thank everybody for this award. I have no idea who voted for me, but I sure do appreciate it. But I also like to share this limelight with some of the people who's on those boards for the Christmas parade, who's on the boards for the Fall Festival parade. Believe me, they do a whole lot more than I do. I just, you know, they have a job. I have a community that I love. I've loved it, you know, for a long time. And my mother started a restaurant back in 1968 called Martha's Drive-In. I was a curb hop. My sister Debbie was a curb hop. My brother and my mother was a cooks. I never will forget, you know, they pull up, they blink their lights, and we'd go out there, take their order, and then they roll their window down halfway, and we had these trays you would hook. That's where the food was, you know, we put the food. And I got my first tip was a dime. And I tell you what, I about turned a flip, I was so excited. But my mother, you know, she kind of got me interested in the business part of it. And just real quickly, I used to cut hair there in Pikeville in a little trailer. Mom and I lived in the concrete block building behind the restaurant building. Every Saturday at 1 o'clock when I'd get off, she'd have me lunch made, and I'd go over and I'd eat lunch and I'd lay down on the floor. She'd lay the phone off the hook, and so nobody would call. So I was laying there and I woke up and I looked up and she said, "Bill, you ever thought about getting into real estate?" She said, "You know everybody. It seems like everybody likes you." And that started my real estate part of the business. But you know, real quick about my love for Bledsoe County, the people is why it's so special. Now the town is growing. You know, for a long time it was dormant, but it's growing now. We've got something to be proud of. We've got something to be. The city of Pikeville is a beautiful place. And now on Saturdays when you go through town, you see people. For a long time you couldn't see people. They'd come to the courthouse or they'd come to the bank, but after they closed, if you ever wanted to streak and not get caught, after 1 o'clock on a Saturday, you could streak and maybe come back up to Scotty's because they ain't nobody there. But now they are. There are people there. It is so refreshing to see. But just real quickly, I was showing property to this couple. I showed them in Murfreesboro. I showed them in Johnson City. I did. Went to Johnson City. We went to Cookville. We went to McMinnville, but they stopped in Pikeville with one day with me to eat. And a lot of people was coming up and talking to me. And so I said, I'm gonna go in here and wash up. When I come back, I never will forget it. And they're here now, not here, but they're living here. They said, we want to move here. I said, move where? She said, we want to move here to Bledsoe County, Pikeville. I said, you said you didn't like Bledsoe County. She said, just the people that we've seen, just the people that we met, this is a special place. And it is a special place. If we keep it going with the momentum that we got, with building the businesses that we got, we will someday be able to do like when I was a kid. You couldn't find a parking place on Main Street on a Saturday. You could not do it. You had to park around back. I'd love to see that happen one day. I hope that you can keep up the momentum that you got going, and maybe one day that'll happen. But them people are living here today because of the people of Bledsoe County. So you should give yourself all a round of applause, and go Warriors!
Do you understand why he won that award? Billy Joe is one of the most generous people that I know of. And he has empathy for a lot of people, and I appreciate that characteristic in you. You've been a friend for a long time. Our next award is a recognition award for those who have served Bledsoe County in some form or fashion and brought recognition to our counties and help. The first one that I'm going to recognize, we have two recipients on this. The first one is Jeff Alpha, and Jeff could not be with us tonight, but Jeff has worked serving in the Veterans Administration Office, serving our veterans. And this award to me is a 2-for-1. We get to honor him for doing service to our veterans, but we also recognize and give service recognition to our veterans for their service. And even though he is not present with us, I think we need to give him and the veterans who have served our nation a round of applause. Our next person we're going to recognize with this recognition award is Mr. John Hargis. So Mr. John, if you'll come up, and I do not have enough time to talk to you about John because there's a lot that can be said. The book, he is a talented artist with a camera. And if you will take time and look at the book, it was a work of love, a work that took a lot of hours. And John has put not only his time, he has put his money into this. So that deserves to be recognized for what he has done for Bledsoe County, for the Sequatchie Valley. Oh, and by the way, for those of you how beautiful the valley is, there's some of us mountain folk thinks our mountains are pretty awesome. All right. But John, we appreciate what you have done. And I am so glad to call you one of my best friends.
I just wanted to say I thank you all for the support for this endeavor that we've done. I want you all to know that Sandy Dodson has just been a great help on this thing, and probably got tired of seeing me. But she edited, she looked at pictures, she decided things, and just really worked hard. This has been a labor of love for me. I wanted to capture this place as we know it today, because as Billy Joe said, we're growing quickly. And I pray that y'all would know that any of the proceeds from the book goes to buy more books, and the rest goes for tourism. None of us get anything out of this except the good feeling for having done something for Bledsoe County. I love this place. Thank you.
For all those who have won awards tonight, Sandy, I believe, wants to meet with them outside when we dismiss, because we're not quite finished yet. But meet with her. She wants to get some pictures and some more information. Mayor Kegel.
Okay, we're just about finished. Take just a few more minutes. It's my honor to recognize and install our new officers for the Pikeville Bledsoe Chamber of Commerce this coming year. So if all those that's been elected would come forward, please. We have Matt Boynton, he is our chairman and president. Bobby Collier is our vice chairman. Daniel Brown is our secretary. And Betty Rennick is our treasurer. We got everybody up. Okay, as each of you take this oath, you're assuming the full responsibilities and duties of your office. Your obligation to this chamber and the Pikeville and Bledsoe County community shall increase accordingly. Your fellow members have chosen you to be their standard bearers, thereby expressing their willingness to support and assist you as the following year you leave. You are charged with the duties of furthering the mission of Pikeville Bledsoe County Chamber of Commerce, which is to promote business and commerce in this community. With its policies and bylaws as your guide, you must be ever ready to exercise the functions of the position in which you are entrusted. Do you accept this charge?
We do.
Okay. All right, okay. Raise your right hand, please. Can't see if it's flag. Move out just a little bit here where I can see. There you go. Okay. Do you affirm that you will faithfully carry out the duties of the office for which you have been elected and will, to the best of your ability, serve as an example of this organization's objectives?
We will.
Okay. Expressing confidence in the selection your fellow members have made, I hereby declare you duly installed as officers of the Pikeville Bledsoe Chamber of Commerce. Congratulations, good luck. Look forward to a great year with your challenges.
And as we wrap up tonight, I would just like to recognize all those on the board, on the Chamber Board of Directors. That's Miss Chastity Brown, Mr. Daniel Brown, Miss Kate Burnett, Mr. Bobby Collier, Mr. Matt Massengale, Miss Heather Reed Poston, Miss Betty Rennick, Miss Tanya Robertson, Miss Marietta Thompson, and Miss Penny Tucker. Those of you that are here, if you would stand, please. I'd like to congratulate all the awardees and wish you all a very good night. Thank you.